382. It's not just a number. It's an entire graveyard. Historians say there were more. Maybe 500, maybe 700. But what makes this number terrifying is not the quantity. It's how they died. They weren't killed by an army. They weren't killed by an aerial bombardment. They were all hunted down by a single man, a 5-foot-tall farmer, hidden in a frozen forest at -40 degrees, holding an old rifle without a telescopic sight and with his mouth full of snow. His name was Simo Häyhä, but the Russians who died before hearing the shot called him something else. They called him the White Death. November 1939. The world looks to Germany, but in the frozen north of Europe, a silent massacre is beginning. The Soviet Union, the largest army on Earth, decides to swallow up little Finland. Stalin sent 500,000 men, 1,000 tanks, and 1,000 planes. He told his generals that the war would last 2 weeks. He was wrong, because Finland had a weapon that Moscow did not have. Winter. The Finnish cold is not just a temperature. It is a physical weapon. At -40 degrees, the oil in weapons freezes and jams the bolts. Exposed skin necrotizes in minutes. If you touch bare metal, your skin is torn off. And the silence. The silence of the forest is so deep that you can hear the heart of the man next to you beating with fear. It was into this white hell that Simo Häyhä stepped. He was not a professional soldier. He was not a state-trained killer. He was a moose hunter, a simple man who grew up learning the patience of nature. He looked at the Soviet tanks and the endless waves of soldiers and felt no fear. He felt only focus. He picked up his Mosin-Nagant rifle, an old model with no modern technology, and he went into the forest, alone. What Simo did over the next 100 days defies military logic. He turned killing into an exact science. While Soviet snipers used modern telescopic sights, Simo refused them. Why? Because the glass of the lens reflects sunlight, revealing your position. And because, to use a sight, you need to raise your head a few centimeters higher. Simo knew those centimeters are the difference between killing and dying. He preferred the iron sight. Simple, invisible. He developed tactics that seemed crazy. He built nests in the hard snow, compacting the ice around his body so that the recoil of the shot would not raise white dust. But the most chilling detail was his breathing. In extreme cold, the warm air coming out of your mouth turns into a cloud of vapor, a smoke signal that says, "I'm here." So, Simo Häyhä did the unthinkable. He filled his mouth with snow. He lay motionless for hours, like a corpse, chewing ice so that his breath would come out cold. Invisible. The Soviets weren't fighting a man. They were fighting the forest itself. Entire patrols went out to hunt him and never returned. Officers fell dead in the middle of speeches. Cooks were shot while serving soup. No one was safe. Death came out of nowhere. No sound, no warning. Fear spread like a disease in the Russian trenches. They started shooting at trees, shadows, the wind. The artillery bombarded empty forests trying to kill a ghost. But Simo was still there, waiting, chewing snow and pulling the trigger. In March 1940, the Red Army was desperate. They put a bounty on his head. They sent elite snipers from Moscow just to kill him. Simo killed them all. In a legendary duel, he killed a Soviet sniper just by seeing the glint of the sun in the enemy's scope lens. A single shot from 400 meters, straight in the eye. But luck even for a legend, has its limits. On March 6th, during brutal combat near Kolar, a Soviet soldier saw movement. He didn't hesitate. He fired an explosive bullet. The projectile hit Simo in the face. The bullet entered his left jaw and exploded on exit, taking half his face with it. He fell into the red snow. His comrades found him hours later. They said that half his head was missing. He was thrown onto a pile of bodies, presumed dead. But Simo Häyhä would not die so easily. Someone saw his leg twitch. He was rushed away and fell into a deep coma. And here is the final irony of fate. Simo Häyhä woke up from his coma exactly 1 week later, on March 13th, the same day the war ended. It was as if he had done his job, paid his price, and decided to return to life only when the last shot had been fired. Finland lost territory, but retained its freedom. Simo lived. He underwent 26 surgeries to reconstruct his face, but the mark of war remained forever, a deformed jaw that prevented him from smiling. But he didn't care. He lived another 60 years peacefully on his farm, hunting moose, raising dogs. When asked how he became so good at taking lives, he replied with just one word: practice. And when asked if he felt remorse, he said, "I did what I was told to do, as best I could." Simo Häyhä died in 2002 at the age of 96, in his bed, of old age. The army that tried to kill him with tanks, planes and artillery failed. The White Death survived it all. His story teaches us something brutal about war. It is not the biggest army that wins, nor the best technology. It is the one who manages to become one with the environment, the one who embraces the cold, the one who has the patience of a rock and the precision of ice. If you liked the story of the deadliest soldier in history, subscribe to the Frontline Diaries channel, because history is full of forgotten heroes, and we're going to unearth them all until the next battlefront.